What's up, everybody? This is Frantic here at the Get Down by myself. Paulo's sick. No guest to my left, no guest to my right. So I figure I would take this time to tell you a little bit more about myself, get a little bit deeper. I do it like in song and stuff, especially when I have like my more personal songs about like family and relationships and stuff like that. But I really wanted to like dive in deep and then maybe kind of like give context to some of those song lyrics. So basically, I was adopted to my adoptive mother and father, who I call mom and dad. Shout out to mom and dad. Stem I love you, dad. When I was 3 years old, my biological mother had me when she was 17. Didn't feel like she was ready to take care of me. Her family were big. They already had six. She had 6 brothers and sisters, so they were a big fam. So it just made more sense to. And my mom was like, "Je vais le prendre," which means we'll take him, because my mom's got a huge heart. And that's kind of how it goes with that. So I was adopted, and I always grew up with my biological mother. She was really close to my parents. So we've always had a relationship, which was beautiful and great. She was a lot like a big sister to me. She introduced me to a lot of music when I told her I liked like punk rock. So we saw Sum 41 for the first time. And then afterwards she's like, "Oh, this is real punk rock." And she gave me Dead Kennedy CDs. So she holds a really special place in my heart. She's got a family of her own now. And shout out to my little brothers, Timor and Adham. I just saw them this weekend. Shout out to Mel. She got married. Big ups to Mel. I grew up with that girl. She's awesome. Shout out to Tyler. He's a good dude. Anyway, so growing up, I kind of like had this disattachment. There's a side of myself. So on my mom's side, that was like all shit that I understood, my biological mom's side. But my biological dad's side was a big fucking mystery. I always felt like a little different from the rest of my family. The rest of my family, they're really talkative and really loud and like to, are like really jovial and stuff. I'm kind of more introverted. I just like had different aspects of myself. I didn't really take too much thought of it. I was like, fuck it, if I never meet this guy again, shit goes on, shit happens. But when I was 18 years old, he sent me a friend request on Facebook and fucking gave me a heart attack. I was like, what the fuck, who is this guy? And I looked, he had pictures of himself back in the 80s, and I was like, holy shit, like, we look alike, we like got the like hunched back fucking caveman thing going on. It was crazy, and it was like, it was nuts. And then on a whim, I was living in Montreal at the time, and my partner, who we're still together now, shout out Lux, I love you, Lux, wanted to go to NESCAD, and I figured like, I still wanted to be with her, and I wanted to explore, and I saw that they had a child and youth program, so I came too, because I've like always like been passionate about working with kids. I think they're like creative and really interesting and like cool beings. And I have a pretty young spirit, so it just made sense. So we moved here, and he hit me up on Facebook, and we went out for drinks, and it was a pretty surreal moment. It's like meeting yourself almost. It was kind of a trip. We drank a shit ton of rum, like exchanged stories. I realized like we hold our beers the same. Like shit that I used to think like, like nurture was most of it, and like, but it was like, I like kind of like swift reality kick. I'm like, nah, nature's there too, Yeah, we like kind of like weird hunched back shit. We like to drink. But yeah, it was kind of an eye-opening experience. He was also adopted, so he had been through a similar experience of meeting his biological parents. So he knew like the right things to say. He thought I was going to react a lot more intensely. I think I was more ready for it than he was. He had no recollection of any of his adoptive parents, so I understand why. I think it was a bigger shock to the system. But it was great though. Now we're still good friends to this day. He lives in Antigonish. He's a diver, so he was a commercial diver for a long time. He'd even commercial dive for like coins and shit from like the 1600s, from like the trades, and like go into shipwrecks and fix boats because he can like hold his breath for 4 minutes. I was like, this is cool. Like, it's crazy that this is like, you know, this is where I come from, or it's part of my life of like where I come from. And it was cool moving to Nova Scotia. Part of that story was meeting him, and I was conceived in Antigonish. So kind of like, I know I didn't grow up here and shit like that, but I kind of see like Nova Scotia is really home, as well as Montreal, because like it's where it all started. It's like my biological grandfather, rest in peace, I love you, Uncle Paul. Him and my Aunt Julie, they couldn't deal with Morgan. She was running wild, so they sent her to Antigonish, and then she got pregnant. And like, hey, you know what I mean? That's how life goes. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to exist. And yeah, it's been cool. Just getting to know that side slower and slower every single day. I thought I knew myself when I was younger, and I was like, it's cool to be able to get to know myself more and more every time I get to hang out with Jason. I also spent a great weekend with my biological mom, and my little brothers too. I'm glad that I get to have a relationship with all this family. I've met my biological dad's family. A lot of them are out in Digby. Shout out to Chris, my biological grandfather. He's hilarious. Riders on the Storm. You did it, bro. So yeah, that's it. That's basically kind of like where it all started. So I really wanted to share that with you guys, share like why I hold Nova Scotia so dear to my heart, even though I didn't grow up here. It was that, and then building this community with you guys. That's like, I think that's a really, really special and cool thing. And that's why I make art, to like try to discover myself and discover the world around me. And we can all create art and create relics and like make life a more beautiful place to live by sharing our art with each other. And so that's what the podcast is about, or at least that's what I want it to be about. And that's what the shows are about for me. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Thanks for listening to my life story. And thanks for, shout out to Paulo for doing this with me and helping us share other people's stories and other people's art. This is a beautiful place, and I want to represent it to the best of my abilities. You know, it's my home away from home, but it's also home. So I want to leave it at that. I love you guys. This is the Get Down. I'm Frantic, and we're out.